My name is Jason. I'm 28 years old and an office worker. My wife, Rachel, and I have been married for 1 year. We would normally be leading a sweet and loving married life, but there are certain circumstances that make it difficult for us to do so. The reason is that Rachel is a so-called career woman and is on business trips for half of the week. Of course, when Rachel is home, we have a sweet time together as a couple, but I'm not aware of what she does when she isn't. You're going on a business trip again tomorrow for 3 days, right? Thank you for all your hard work, even if it is for your job.
I want to save up as much money as I can before we have a child. It may cause you some trouble for a while, but please bear with me.
I understand. I'm not going to complain when you're working so hard for a future.
Thank you for being so understanding. I'm very happy to be married to a good husband like you.
Oh, come on, you're making me blush. To be honest, Rachel's salary is much less than mine, and considering the amount of business trips she has to make, is not even close to adequate. I would prefer to have her work part-time somewhere nearby rather than continue to work at a low-paying job that requires a lot of travel. However, I decided to be patient until we have a child, since Rachel has been willing to travel around for work for our happiness. But then, one day,
I'm so tired. I don't have the energy to take a bath today.
You're going on another business trip tomorrow. Don't you have to prepare your luggage?
I'll get up early tomorrow morning, so I'll be fine. I'm just going to sleep today.
That day, Rachel looked more exhausted than usual. She usually stays up until 11 or 12 o'clock, but that day she changed into her pajamas and went to bed before 9. I usually leave all the preparation for business trips to Rachel herself, but I thought it would be better if I could do it for her on such occasions. So, while she slept, I packed her usual business trip carry-on bag with a change of clothes and underwear. There's something in the bottom. Is this a gold medal made of paper? In the bottom of Rachel's carry-on bag was a paper-crafted gold medal with "First Prize" written on the front. We don't have children, so I can't say for sure, but it looked like something you'd get on a sports day at kindergarten. As I said, Rachel and I don't have kids. We don't have any nieces or nephews either, so it's hard to imagine that she got it from a relative's kid. Besides, you can only get this kind of thing when you participate in a parents' race on sports day. I haven't heard anything from Rachel about attending a friend's kid's sports day either. The more I thought about it, the more confused I got. But still, I continued to rummage through her carry-on bag. There, I found evidence in the side pocket that confirmed my suspicions. It was a pretty envelope with "Dear Mommy" written in cute, newly learned handwriting, most likely for Rachel. The letter read,
Dear Mommy, thank you for always playing with me so much. I know you are busy with work and I don't get to see you often, but I was very happy that you came to sports day. Next time you come home, please read me lots of books. Love, Tommy.
It was probably from a boy about 4 or 5 years old. It was addressed to Mommy, but there was no longer any doubt in my mind that it was referring to Rachel. I was able to determine from the letter and the gold medal that Rachel was having an affair with a single-fathered man. I thought about waking Rachel up right then and there and questioning her, but I suppressed my boiling anger and put the letter and gold medal back where I had found them. This is not enough evidence, and if she finds out that I suspect her affair, she will never leave such clear evidence again. In order for me to prove her infidelity, I had to catch her off guard. The next day, I went to the detective agency on my way home from work. The online reviews was neither good nor bad, but it was the only one in the neighborhood, so I could not choose any other. When I arrived, I immediately explained to the staff what had happened so far, and decided to pay $500, which was not cheap, to have them start investigating Rachel's affair. It was 5 days later when I received the results of the investigation. When I visited them again to hear their report, the staff member in charge started to talk with a difficult look on his face, holding a number of documents in his hands. Are you and your wife really married? I didn't understand what he meant, because I'm married. Rachel must be my wife. Rachel was the one who asked me to marry her in the first place, and she even signed the marriage certificate. We both had our bosses sign it as witnesses, but why is he asking if we were really married? I don't understand. What on earth are you trying to say? Well, in order to obtain evidence of your wife's infidelity, we were interviewing people at her workplace. As a result, we found out that she's been using Hall as her last name, the last name of her affair partner. What? I'm telling you this for your own good. You might want to check your marriage certificate. The next day, I took my lunch break and went to the city office to get a copy of our marriage certificate. If Rachel was innocent, her name would be on the certificate as my wife, but I couldn't find a single letter of Rachel's name on there. I always thought I was her husband, but to Mr. Hall, her real husband? I was the one she was cheating on. When I found out this fact, I couldn't stand still. I decided to go to Mr. Hall's house with these evidences in my hand. When I arrived at his apartment, I heard happy laughter coming from inside the room. It was the scene of a family that I had always dreamed of during my marriage to Rachel. With trembling fingers, I pressed the doorbell. It was no other than Rachel in her pajamas who answered the door, who had left this morning on her business trip.
Why are you here?
What's with the pajamas? Where's your suit? I thought you had work today. Why are you here when you're supposed to be out of town? You've been deceiving me this whole time, haven't you? Right? What's the matter? You in some kind of trouble?
Hey, you! Don't pick on my mommy!
Behind Rachel's back was the father and son in the photo I had received from the detective agency. I couldn't quite make it out in the picture, but the boy's face was an exact duplicate of Rachel's. They say that boys look more like their mothers, but I guess that's not just a superstition. Who are you? My name is Jason Walker. I am married to Rachel. What? Is this some kind of joke? Rachel is my wife.
Please, don't say anything else. These people don't know anything.
If they don't know, I'll tell them. I always thought I was her husband, but to Mr. Hall, her real husband, I was the one she was cheating on. Actually, I don't know who I am either.
What is he talking about? You don't have to take this person seriously.
I'm sorry, but please keep quiet for a minute. Mr. Walker, what were you saying? I've been living with Rachel as a married couple for the past year, but just now, I've come to realize that it was all a lie. This is the proof of all the lies Rachel told you and me. I showed Mr. Hall the memorable photos from our wedding, our trips together, and some random everyday ones too. Mr. Hall was shocked. He closed his eyes, and after some time, he glanced at Rachel and said, I'm going to ask you to tell me everything you've done so far, and I will have you attended to, Mr. Walker.
Yes, sir.
Rachel seemed to realize that she could not get away with any more and answered our questions honestly, without any unnecessary lies. 2 years ago, when we started dating, just about when we met through work, Rachel was on the verge of divorce due to the differences in values with Mr. Hall. Rachel fell in love with me and wanted to marry me. However, Rachel and Mr. Hall were having a difficult time discussing divorce, and at the same time, Rachel and I got into a big fight over a small matter, and I suggested that we break up. Rachel, who wanted to somehow keep me with her, proposed to me, and it worked. She was planning to tell me the truth and apologize to me after her divorce from Mr. Hall was finalized, but her child got seriously ill at the wrong time, and the talk about the divorce was dropped, and so she was never able to tell me the truth, and that's where we are now. I can't believe it. How many people do you have to deceive before you can be satisfied?
Please, forgive me. This is all for you and the child, for Tommy.
Don't play dumb with me. What you did has made all of us unhappy. You think this was for my sake? That's just an excuse to get you off the hook. I don't want you to ever show up in front of me or Tommy again. I can no longer consider you my wife. I feel the same way. I don't think of you as my wife anymore. I don't want to see the face of a cheater like you ever again. After that, I ended up suing Rachel for fraud and received a settlement of about $15,000 as compensation for the damages. If this were a movie, I would have taken away many times that amount, but in reality, apparently even this is a great deal. If anything, the big damage to Rachel was the fact that this was treated as a criminal case rather than a civil case. Well, what she did was a marriage fraud after all. I think it's only natural for her to get a criminal record, even if it's with probation. The problem is that Rachel was fired from her job because of this conviction, and she was denied access to her child after the divorce because Mr. Hall said he would never let his child be with a criminal. The $40,000 alimony for Mr. Hall was already a difficult request, but I think that not being able to see her child was the most painful thing of all. But that was all Rachel's own fault. There's no room for me to feel sorry for her now, not one bit. A year has passed since then. I've finally recovered from the shock of Rachel's betrayal and started to return to a reasonably peaceful and fulfilling life. I'm not planning to get married for a while, but I'm starting to think that it's time to get a new girlfriend. I'm sure that will clear away the lingering doubts in my heart. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed it and we look forward to seeing you again. Please subscribe to our channel.